Well, it's pretty exciting, isn't it? We are going to be talking about the ICC Men's T20 World Cup draw. Not sure that's the greatest camera angle, but say la vie, when you're doing all this stuff yourself, you just kind of got to roll with it. Is that better? I don't know. There's a weird light coming over my head. It kind of looks better on the other channels. Good evening, you guys. Great to see you. And hopefully, before we get into looking at it's a weird light, isn't it? Looking at the ICC Men's T20 World Cup fixture announcement, you might just let me know if you can see and hear me okay. And we're going to get some questions in a little while. It's also a bit off center, isn't it, that? Let's see if we can fix that a bit. Okay. I don't know, that's a bit better. Very exciting. We've just seen the ICC in some kind of a gala function there in Mumbai announce the ICC Men's T20 World Cup fixtures. And I'm going to run you through them and give you my immediate reactions, immediate thoughts. I love this tournament. I love the expansion of it. I think once every 2 years we get all the very best teams in the world, 20 teams in the men's game to come together to really find out, in a global celebration of the shortest format as to who the best side is and give the associates more opportunities than they have in any other format. I'm struggling a little bit with some of the settings here, but I think we're okay. If you're watching on YouTube, can you tell me if it's working okay? And if you're watching on Instagram, could you do the same? And the same here on Facebook. Thanks, guys. I'm trying to do three at once. Not a great idea. Just back from another Nepal Premier League game. Really good match. The Kathmandu Gorkhas won, but I'm not going to talk much about the NPL on this stream because it's all about the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Corey Ruckers, couldn't agree more. Opening match is going to be massive. Right, I don't know what order to do this in. Let's start with the venues. The first ever Men's T20 World Cup that expanded to 20 teams was last year, co-hosted by the USA and the West Indies. I thought they did an incredibly good job, but the reality was it was kind of spread all over the place. I think the Netherlands played in 4 different venues in 3 or 4 different countries, and a lot of it was difficult because they were trying to make sure as many venues as possible, particularly from the Caribbean, had access to games that they should have got. It was spread across the 3 venues in the States as well, and access and flights. It became a little bit of a logistical nightmare for some fans. So I think they've taken a lot of the learnings from last year and placed them into their selection of venues, and indeed now the fixtures and groups we're going to talk about for this year. So what a job they've done. 5 Indian venues. Let's talk about those first. The Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi, in the capital city, in New Delhi. Eden Gardens in Kolkata with all of its history and its brilliance and iconic floodlights. And one of my favourite venues in the entire world. I adore it there. We've got the Chittabharam Stadium then in Chennai, where it's going to turn, and it's going to certainly, always be interesting to see how the pitches react there. Of course, the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad with that massive volume that it has, and then the iconic Wankhede Stadium right very close to the gate of Mumbai and the gate of India there, and all of the brilliance there. So they're the 5 Indian venues, and then I thought we might see Dambulla come into play for Sri Lanka, but 2 of the venues in Sri Lanka, both in Colombo. So again, really good for fans to be able to plan their their trips, their journeys, their enjoyment of what should be a festival and should be, a really excitable and enjoyable tournament. So they've got the Palakadi International Stadium in Kandy, which is one of the newer ones with its big capacity, the Premadasa, which is the long-standing one in Colombo, and then the Sinhalese Sports Club in Colombo, a little bit smaller there, but also a very good venue, the SSC. So that's the venues. What about the groups? Well, I'm not going to lie, the groups were leaked. I think a lot of people knew what to expect from the groups, but the real excitement tonight has been to see where the games are going to be played for each of the teams. So we'll run through them in order. We'll start with the India group as the primary hosts, co-hosts alongside Sri Lanka. They are in with Pakistan again. There was a bit of speculation in advance that it might not be India-Pakistan this time with all the political challenges going on. But look, that game has such value and importance to world cricket. I'm delighted to see it, that it is the case. But the interesting thing is here, it's the only group that doesn't have 3 test nations. So how exactly they've gone about doing this, and one of the groups as a consequence has 4 test nations. You think this time all 12 test nations have qualified. So what you would have expected would have been the 12 test nations, the 12 highest ranked sides in the world, to be separated 3 for each group. But I suspect what they've probably done, they'd kind of draw a snake is the way the ICC work it. They've actually placed USA as a Super 8 team the last time around in automatic qualifiers as getting the benefit of being seeded, and therefore it's actually 3 associate sides in Group A, which is great because we're going to get, you know, a number of associate v associate games in that group. In particular, USA, the Netherlands and Namibia will all play each other. And then India and Pakistan, whoever loses the game between India and Pakistan, they're obviously going to be in a bit of trouble and need to be at their very best against USA, Netherlands and Namibia. And in the build-up to this tournament, I've spoken a lot about the 3 ends in terms of the associates: Netherlands, Namibia and Nepal as being 3 sides that can definitely create upsets and challenge the big test nations and humble them if they can adjust to the conditions. USA are the other one. So that actually in some ways is like an associate group of death. Namibia playing some brilliant cricket under their new head coach Craig Williams. The Dutch side are always very competent with the leadership of Scotty Edwards and the quality of Max O'Dowd, and I think it's going to be one last amazing send-off for Roelof van der Merwe as well, if he can find his way to stay fit enough to be in that squad. And then, you know, okay, India will be favourites. Of course, they're favourites on home soil, but the India v Pakistan game will be played in Colombo, and it will be interesting to see as to, you know, who wins that. In terms of the order of those matches in that particular group, let's get a look. Pakistan get the tournament going against the Netherlands. That'll be held in Colombo. All of Pakistan's games in that Group A will be played in Sri Lanka because as part of the agreement with the ongoing political challenges, it's not going to be a case where Pakistan will play any games on Indian soil. Second game of the group on the opening night, that'll be India versus USA. How good will that be? That's going to be held in Mumbai. I would expect a packed house and a massive opportunity for the likes of Harmeet Singh, Mayank Patel. Milind Kumar is having such a good year as well. Sanjay Krishnamurthy, who we've got here in the Nepal Premier League too. You know, Sarav Netravalkar with his story, having played India under-19s, going back to play against the country of his birth and the country of his original origin. Amazing story that. And, you know, again, we saw USA really challenge India last time around. That was last year in New York. I'd expect the pitch to be different as a consequence, you know, very much to play into India's hands. Okay, what else? Where else do they go in that group? Let's just get a look. We will see Pakistan play USA in the SSC in Colombo. We'll also then see USA play the Netherlands in Chennai, USA play Namibia in Chennai, and where else do they go in that group? India play the Netherlands in Ahmedabad. That will be an amazing experience for the Dutch. A sold-out house there in the biggest cricket stadium in the world. I think it's one of the biggest sporting stadiums in the world, isn't it, as well? And a few of the group games there. Would help if I was able to pull these up a bit easier. So bear with me for 1 second, because hopefully good old Wikipedia is always the best place to be on for this, because I should get all the group games in that. We'll just see where else they go in Group A. Let's have a look. Yeah, Group A, they're going to be in Delhi, India versus Namibia. I think they're sending India around, which makes a lot of sense to all the fans. So India play in Mumbai, they play in Delhi. We'll then have the big India-Pakistan game in Colombo. That'll be on the 15th of February. Looking ahead to the days, I presume that's on a weekend. It is indeed Sunday the 15th of February, day after Valentine's Day. And then India will travel up to the Netherlands. That's one disadvantage that the home side had, but a good move from the BCCI and the ICC to work together on those fixtures to make sure that India and their fans get the exposure right the way around the world. Okay, Group B, soft spot for me, Ireland in this group. And that is the only group that will be fully based in Sri Lanka. So the games there will all be played in a combination of Colombo, 2 venues in Colombo, and then Kandy itself as well. And look, it's a funny one because in some ways it's a group of death with the 4 test nations, but in another way, I think Zimbabwe, Ireland, they'll kind of fancy their chances as well, because if they can get past Oman, and Oman absolutely no pushovers, particularly if the pitches are going to turn, but if they get past their other kind of lowest ranked full members. So if Ireland can beat Zimbabwe, if Zimbabwe can beat Ireland, then really it just takes one good day out against Sri Lanka, the hosts, or Australia, going to be difficult to turn over. But again, in those conditions, maybe that will help narrow the gap a little bit. I think back to that T20 World Cup in 2012, and Ireland were fairly comfortably beaten by Australia. They were drawn in the same group at that point. So 4 test nations in the one group, and what that means, a reminder, if you can't remember the format from before, it's quite simple and it's really good and easy to follow. There are 20 teams, there are 4 groups of 5, and the top 2 from each group stay alive. The bottom 3 go out. The great thing it means, it guarantees the associates, guarantees all the teams a minimum of 4 matches. There will be warm-up matches to be announced as well. But, you know, you don't want to travel all the way to a World Cup and play 2 games, not against test nations. You want to go and play big teams. So, you know, for Oman there, okay, it's going to be a big stretch for Oman to get through the group, although Dilip Mendes has all that experience. In Sri Lanka, they get 4 plum fixtures. They get to play against Sri Lanka, the hosts, the co-hosts. They get to play against Australia, which they got to do last year, and they gave them a really good rattle, particularly in that first innings. That iconic, quite stunning catch that was held at cover. So, and then they get to play against Zimbabwe, they get to play against Ireland as well. They'll fancy their chances against both of them. I will get some questions a little bit. Nice to see Surya Tamang. Surya well bowled so far this competition, and lovely to see lots of people joining in. I know we're getting questioned. Okay, Nepal fans, I know there's a lot from reading the comments on the stream here. What about this? Nepal had been placed into Group C. And actually, because I was, Mikhail, my co-commentator here, Mikhail Vaswani, was doing the post-match. He and I shared a car home together, as I usually hang around the ground a bit in Kathmandu. And the two of us shared the car home together. And we knew that the announcement was coming out tonight, but we didn't know when. And I said, Mikhail, we haven't looked yet. It might be out. And this is genuine. This is what happened. And the big graphic that you can see on the ICC's social media handles is actually the thumbnail I've used for this as well. It's one big blue graphic with all 55 fixtures across the group stages in one graphic. And on my little phone, you know, you wouldn't be able to see the detail yet. And I said, Mikhail, the groups are out. It's what we thought, because I think there'd been a few leaks about the groups. So Nepal have been placed into a group with Bangladesh, England, Italy, who are going to their first ever World Cup of any kind in cricket, and the West Indies, who Nepal obviously beat in the Unity Cup. And he goes, where though? Where are they playing? Because obviously all the Nepal fans desperate to play in India, not to go to Sri Lanka. I said, I think the whole group's in India. He goes, well, which venue? Mikhail's from Mumbai. So we squeezed in and we came in on the graphic, and we gradually zoomed in, and I said, well, great first piece of news is Nepal's first game is on the second day of the tournament. It's against England. Think of this, Nepal fans, the stuff of dreams. Playing against England for the first time in your history. Incredible. So, second day of the tournament, match number 5 in total. I think they've done such a brilliant job with the schedule. I was a bit frustrated last time. There was lots of double headers, not enough triple headers. Get the games in. Make it action-packed. Make it energetic. It's T20 cricket. The schedule looks perfect to me this time round. But listen to this. England versus Nepal at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. Me and Mikhail, we high-fived. It was a real buzz. We kind of both had a jig in our step. We jumped out of our seats. Look, incredible. I'm kind of just taking it in now to think of what that's going to be like for the Nepal fans. So, look, whether you need to beg, steal, or borrow your way down to Mumbai, I know there's a lot of connecting flights. I'm sure there'll be people who will drive. There'll be people who will take trains, planes, and automobiles, whatever way you can. How far is the drive? I wonder, from, let's say, Kathmandu to Mumbai. I think it's going to be about 2 or 3 days, isn't it? Let's have a look. But yeah, look, it's going to be an incredible occasion. I know there'll be a couple of thousand England fans, but I would imagine the vast majority of the fans there will be Nepal fans. So if you were to drive from Kathmandu to 37 hours, you can do it in. There you go. Not too bad. If you end up doing that, let me know. I'd love to see the footage of it. That might make a great trip. So maybe the only sad bit of news for Nepal, they're in the same venue for every single game. I was kind of hoping, if we reflect back on the venues that have been announced, that they might get a game up in Delhi. I thought the pitches in Chennai might really, really suit, without doubt. Or down at Kolkata's not that far if you look down towards Bengal there. So look, great group draw, I think, for Nepal. I don't think they have too much to fear in terms of, West Indies and Bangladesh. They've played them before. They should have beaten Bangladesh and St. Vincent, and they have beaten the West Indies twice. And it's just going to be an incredible experience getting to play against England, whether you win, lose or draw. But look, for me, maybe the only slight frustration for Nepal fans will be 4 games all in the same venue. Would it be nice to see them kind of get around a little bit, given that, for me, I think they're going to be one of the stories of the tournament. They really are, with the rather biblical numbers that they will travel with and alongside. So I'll get some questions in a little bit of time now, but I'm just going to keep running through the groups. So to run through the rest of the fixtures, we'll start with Nepal. Obviously, so many fans on here interested in Nepal's journey. They'll start out against England. That'll be match 5 on the 8th of February. And then just 4 days later, they'll play their second game. That will probably be a must-win for them against Italy to have any chance of getting through the group. And Italy, do not underestimate them. Amazing story, them qualifying for their first T20 World Cup, and a side that I'll very closely follow the journey of, with Kevin O'Brien, my great friend, being their assistant coach. It's only then a 3-day gap before their next game against the West Indies. They won't have anything to fear there. They know how to beat them. They've beaten them twice already, and that'll be a game they'll relish. And final game just 2 days later on the 17th of February against Bangladesh. My only concern for Nepal with the draw that they've been given is those conditions in Mumbai and what tends to be a very, very flat surface. I remember the 2016 T20 World Cup there, and I just felt that, for Nepal to have a real chance of getting through to the Super 8s, a real hope of upsetting sides, they need their spin bowling to be to the fore. And if it's a really flat deck in Mumbai where very high scores are needed, they're going to need to readjust and think about the skill set that Stuart Law will want to bring in his squad. And it kind of really focuses in the mind now for all these players here at this Nepal Premier League that we're covering on an ongoing basis as to what sort of skills they're going to need to show Stuart Law to force their way into his reckoning. 200 plays 200 in the Wankhede. Does that suit as well as, maybe a Turner in Chennai or up in Delhi where maybe the scores might be lower? I think that's the challenge and the trick. Italy will be a great story in that group, and the West Indies have a great record. Remember, the last T20 World Cup held in India. It was the West Indies that won it with those Carlos Brathwaite heroics in the final at Eden Gardens. Okay, on to Group D. And I was just talking to Jimmy Neesham down, we're staying at the same hotel here at the Salty. And I think he reckons they've got the group of death. I think I'd probably agree with him, even though there's only 3 full member nations in this group, because whichever group Afghanistan go into, with respect to Bangladesh, with respect to Ireland, with respect to Zimbabwe, of the kind of lower ranked full member nations, whenever you get Afghanistan drawn in the group, as we saw last year with them going all the way to the semi-finals, them knocking New Zealand out in the group stages there in Guyana, you have a tough draw. And the challenge also for New Zealand, they're playing predominantly in Chennai. I think they go to Ahmedabad for 1 game, so there was a bit of hesitation when I was actually giving Jimmy Neesham the news. He hadn't seen the groups or the exact schedule come out yet, so I was sharing that with him. He was just catching up with a couple of the Bukhara Avenger players here. So difficult draw for New Zealand. And in terms of the associates in that group, I think Canada are probably the side that will find things the most challenging. Of the 8 sides that have qualified, UAE, do not rule them out. If they can get their team selection right, get their best players together in those conditions there in India, I think they'll be a real force to be reckoned with. And I would love to see Mohammad Waseem show the world as to just how good he is, because he's a brilliant T20 cricketer. No doubt about that. They will play New Zealand in their first game just 2 days after New Zealand's first. So New Zealand open with Afghanistan on the 8th of February. Then 2 days later, tough schedule. They play the UAE, a real potential banana skin. Remember, New Zealand have lost to the UAE before in T20 international cricket. Canada will start against South Africa in Ahmedabad. That's a very tough fixture for them to start with. Then they'll take on the UAE. For the UAE, they'll play Afghanistan in their 3rd game and South Africa in their 4th, both up in Delhi. So the majority of that group is being played in Delhi and Chennai, and Ahmedabad, actually a variety of all 3. From there, we'll move on to the Super 8 stages, and great to see that in the Super 8s, they've gone with games in both Sri Lanka and indeed India. So I think it's pretty much one group in each. But again, we'll just wait for the sides to get through to work out exactly how they play out. But if we have a very quick look at the Super 8 fixtures, which I have here, there's no breathing room in the schedule either, because the last group game, Australia play Oman and Kandy on the 20th of February. And the next day, the first Super 8 game is in action. So look, it's action-packed. It's going to be fast and furious. It's across, I think, less than 30 days from the 7th of February, because February only has 28 days, and the final on the 8th of March. By my maths, that's 29 days. So it's going to be incredibly hectic, and what a tournament it's going to be. I adore this tournament. I think it's got the capacity to increase to 24 and indeed 32 teams in due course. There are so many good associate cricketers now, and this pathway is offering them a real opportunity to chase their dreams, to play against the big boys, and to have those upsets that anyone who really loves sport really will be deserving of. And let's hope that, I think we'd 3 full member defeats in the last T20 World Cup to associates. Let's hope we get even more. Would love to see another associate side get through to the Super 8. In some ways, Group A might be the most likely. There's 3 associates. If Pakistan stumble at all, they'll find themselves in trouble. So the Super 8 games will be held across Colombo, Kandy, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Chennai, Kandy, Delhi and Kolkata. And then the semi-finals on the 4th and 5th of March. Unless Pakistan are in them, they will be held in Kolkata and Mumbai. And the same again goes for the final, where the final will be in Ahmedabad, unless Pakistan progress all the way to that, whereby Colombo, presume the Prima Dasa, will be the fallback option for both of those. And Pakistan would love to upset the odds and get through to a semi-final and the final. So, look, that's going to wrap it up for my immediate thoughts. Happy to do maybe, how long have we been online for here? Losing time, 20 minutes. Happy to do 10 minutes of Q&A. Any questions on the draw, any questions on the format? I think what I'll try and do is do an explainer tomorrow here on YouTube, because this is massive. Mr. Ghostman says, hello from freezing Cumbria, pal, across the water from me. I'm not in Ireland right now. I'm in Nepal, covering the Nepal Premier League. Hopefully we can find a better bowler for this T20 series. Interesting. Are you talking about the English team there, potentially? Nice to see an old friend of mine joining on there on Instagram. Won't name check you. So yeah, get your questions in. Let's start on YouTube over here. Apologies about the weird camera on YouTube. Don't know what's going on. Okay, we'll start with Gamer F. My opinion on Anil Shah for the World Cup. Yeah, look, he's in a bit of a rut of form, isn't he? So he's going to need some runs, and he's going to need to say to Stuart Law, look, get me in the order. I think Lokesh Bam might have just moved past him at the moment. At Nang, I think it is, says all the games in the same venue might be an advantage for Nepal and the fans as well. Yeah, I think in some ways, I just quite like the idea of a bit of a travelling roadshow across India. You know, a game in Kolkata, a game in Delhi, a game in Mumbai would have been pretty cool. But yeah, you make a great point. The fact that Stuart Law and his side will be based in the same hotel, I would imagine they will do an awful lot of preparation. The talk is, without giving anything away that I can't give away, the talk is that it'll be potentially a case of hosting a series here in early January if they can, as part of their prep. I would imagine Nepal will then travel straight down to Mumbai. What a 6 or 8 weeks it's going to be. Someone says, Andrew Dye, is it cold in Kathmandu? Definitely getting cold. I'm in my nice warm hotel room, so happy in the polo shirt, but the evenings are getting chilly. Rupak Thapa says, I'm watching here on Facebook and YouTube Live. Thanks so much for the support. Depeche says, which team are you supporting in the Nepal Premier League? I think it's the Suda Prasim Royals. I'm afraid not. I support all 8 of the teams. Honestly, and this goes across all the commentators, we don't have any bias in the Nepal Premier League. We just want the games to be close and want the players to do well. And obviously Dipender Singh has been one of the stars of the show. Grandpa's Lesson says, good night, Taklidai, good night to you. Bipin Lamachani says, how well will Nepal progress in the T20 World Cup? Will Nepal make it to the semi-final? That would be an incredible run. I think if they could at least beat Italy and maybe beat one of the test nations, that would be a good tournament. If they could get through to the Super 8, it would be a phenomenal tournament. Anything from there would be a massive bonus. Lokesh asks a similar question. How many games will Nepal win in the World Cup? But he also asks the major changes I would recommend for the Nepal team. I think now, with the fact that they know it's the Wankhede for 4 games, they need to consider what skill sets they need there. And again, maybe in recent times the pitches have changed, but my memories, I was there for the 2016 T20 World Cup. There is no doubt they are flat surfaces, so they are going to need a variety of skills, not just the heavy spin attack and the quality of spin attack that they have. You know, I think it's going to really focus the mind over the course of the coming weeks as to the kind of team selections that they need and the skill sets they need in that skill. Harry Upadhyaya says, we will beat England in the first match and we will win every match against Bangladesh, West Indies, Italy, and make it to the playoff. And we're going all the way. Jai Nepal. The Wankhede we are coming. Yep, love the passion. Laxman Badarai says, Sandeep Lamachani versus Joss Butler. How cool is that? Phil Salt, for me, is one of the best T20 players in the world. And what's it going to be like for, you know, Karen KC and Dipender Singh and Sampal Kami to get to take them on? Look, to beat England might be a bridge too far. But let's hope Nepal can show their brand of cricket to the world, because playing against England brings a significantly enhanced media attention. And I just think it's a fantastic opportunity for Nepal to show the world as to what their brand of cricket is. So very exciting. Raj Shrestha says, do you think Nepal has a chance to beat Bangladesh? Absolutely. They should have beaten them in St. Vincent, but in very different conditions. The challenge is going to be that pace attack for Bangladesh is light years on from where it was 10 years ago. Led by Taskin Ahmed, Mustafizur Rahman, the extreme pace they have in Tanzim as well, Saqib. So, look, it's going to be really tough, really, really, really tough against Bangladesh in those conditions, but they have a chance. Avesh says, Group A is almost the same team like the past World Cup. My thoughts on this? There's always a lot of discussion about how the ICC sets their groups. There isn't any perfect way to do it. G'day, Jimmy. Should there be 3 test teams in each group? Maybe, but are they saying that USA finished in the Super 8 last time, so they deserve a slightly better group? Look, it is what it is. That's the way they've gone with it. And you can't change it. Jimmy Neesham asks, is this a fresh haircut? No, it's a day and a half old, but thanks, mate. There's a bit of a glare off it, isn't there? Solid tackle diaries, mate. Good to see you earlier. I hope you're keeping well, and looking forward to seeing you in 2 days, and hope the Avengers can get a win. Mind Vacant says, should Nepal team focus on batting? Yeah, they're going to have to bat better in the Wankhede. The good news is Kushal Patel's showing some real form here. I think he'll be a key man. And is Lokesh Bam doing enough to force his way up the order? And do they maybe think about dropping Asif Sheikh to 3 and Pedal to 4? That could end up being a good option. Vivek enjoying the banter with Jimmy Neesham there. Last couple of questions on YouTube, and we'll come over to the others. Lovely comments about commentary for the T20 World Cup. Would absolutely love to be a part of it, but I promise you one thing, I'll be moving heaven and earth just to be there in whatever capacity. Okay, Snap says, it looks like England are the only threats to Nepal of now. Bangladesh, we can beat them. West Indies, we've already beaten. Nepal are coming to the Super 8. Love the positivity. Legend Gamer says, Hemant Dami, local talent. Yes, I think he's been one of the finds of this tournament. And we haven't had many non-national team players or non-regular national team players from the Nepal end that have stood out enough for us to go, they could bolt into the World Cup squad. Hemant Dami could. He's got a yard of pace. I think he's out-bowled Scott Kuggelein so far, and I'm just delighted he's actually bowling. He didn't bowl last year. Nice to see Amrit Dangana. Big hello to you. Final question on YouTube. Let's have a look. A question I can answer. I'm not going to talk about the NPL umpiring. Okay, Roshan Banjari, a good question. He says, is there a possibility of a series against full member countries like New Zealand, South Africa before the World Cup for Nepal? I don't know whether New Zealand and South Africa are available. I'm pretty sure South Africa won't be because their SA20 will be going on. But let's hope that Paris Khadke and the Cannes team can find a way to bring some quality nations here and in. Okay, Facebook questions, get over here. Let's hope they're coming in. I don't know, this seems to have stalled. So yeah, get your comments in here on Facebook. We'll answer those now. Let's see how this, I don't really know how this works, but we're trying our best with it, guys, so bear with me. Let's see what questions are going. Thank you so much for Hikmat Rawat, very kind comment. Yamanta Karki says, in India there is lots of spinners that make spin-friendly pitch. I would agree at many venues, but my knowledge of the Wankhede is it's flat and high-scoring venues. Abhinesh Karki says, we will win against Italy, we will win against Bangladesh, and we will maybe win against West Indies. Well, there you go. You win those 3 games, you'll be through almost certainly to the Super 8. Thanks so much, Abhinesh Karki. That's very kind. Hopefully those comments are coming in. Get them in here on Facebook. I don't know why they're not really scrolling down, but I never understand how this works. Over on Instagram, what's going on over here? Raj Mahata saying, Janakpur bolts. Koshal Pandey says, I want to get an autograph anytime. No problem. Come and say hello in and around the ground. Bivak says, we are cooked, Di. I don't know. I think it could have been a worse draw. I think it's a good draw. Just the opportunity to play against England, incredible. Nice to see Sujan Dakal. How are you doing? Bandarin says, did Sandeep Jora's batting order not seem to make a difference to his batting? Well, he's batting up. He's opening the batting, isn't he, in this Nepal Premier League? Problem is, this is inherent across, teams all around the world. I think England have 7, 8, 9 opening batters. Farouk, thanks so much for your comment. Great blogger there who I've spoken to before. He says, hello Andrew, the Wankhede is a red soil base. It will help those who play bouncy surface as well. Yeah, that's my memory of it. Pace and bounce and carry and a very high scoring surface. I will never forget the 6. I was there at the Wankhede that Andre Russell hit. Don't remember the bowler off the top of my head, but he hit the frame of the roof of the top of the second tier of the stand. It was in the semi-final when the West Indies upset India in 2016. Still to this day, the biggest 6 I've ever seen. And I'm pretty sure it was my good friend Alan Wilkins on commentary who just was, absolutely couldn't believe what he'd just seen. And I think he said something like it was extraordinary. Nice to see you, Tanish Sapkota. Dasrath, I really hope to be there in some capacity. Let's hope that that's the case. Prayat Naya Bandari says, I imagine seeing you there at the Wankhede next year. I would love to be there. I'll find a way to be there. Sarab says, Namaste, I need your short interview for my thesis related MPL. Happy to help. Just drop me a DM there on Instagram. I try to get back to everyone always. Prashida says, do I think Nepal's squad for the World Cup will be the same as the qualifier? Good question. Let's come to that. So the T20 World Cup qualifier squad was very much picked as one that was for the conditions there in Muscat. I think the conditions in the Wankhede will be different, and I would imagine that there will be changes to the squad. I'm just going to pull the squad up now to get the full 15 together. Here it is here. I would imagine the core of the squad will stay the same, but as always, there's probably 2 or 3 spots you're talking about. So obviously Rohit Pedal will be the captain, Dipender Singh Ari will be the vice captain. I would expect Kushal Patel to be one of the first names in that squad. That's 3. Gulshan Jha, absolutely, as well. That's 4. Sandeep Lamachani, nailed on. That's 5. Sampal Kami, 6. Karan KC, 7. Lalit Rajbanshi, absolutely 8. I think Nandan Yadav's done more than enough in recent times to be 9. And Asif Sheikh, absolutely the keeper batter, 10. Those 10 are nailed on. The 5 that, I'm not saying will definitely be in the squad or definitely won't be in the squad, but the 5 that, places who might come into discussion will be the likes of Mohammad Adil Alam, will be Lokesh Bam, will be Sundeep Jora, although I'd expect him to retain his spot. He's shown a lot of value in the T20 format of late. Kushal Malla, I would have him in the squad, but again, a lot of talk about him during that. And then Arif Sheikh, who hasn't for me shown enough in the T20 format where he's such a brilliant ODI cricketer. So there are places there to be played for. And, the likes of Hemant Dami, who we've spoken about, if they want that little bit of extra pace, he could be an option. We keep talking about a left-handed batter. Are they going to think of someone like a Bashir Ahmed as forcing their way in? And then there's some incredibly talented young spin bowlers. Does Stuart Law do something incredible, like pick the 16, 17-year-old Bipin who's been brilliant in this Nepal Premier League? Yuvraj Raj Khatri has been really good, probably a bit too soon for him. I think the way Santosh Yadav has played as well has really impressed me. So, look, we'll probably get 1 or 2 surprises. I would expect 12, 13, maybe even 14 to be there, and the same as that qualifier squad. But, isn't it exciting? All of the teams in Nepal Premier League have at least 4 or 5 games left. Go out there, get 100, put pressure on Stu Law. Go out there, take 2 5-wicket hauls, put pressure on Stuart Law and force your way into his thoughts. You have the opportunity with this league we have, and I'll promise you something. I know all the players are trying their hearts out, but this fixture announcement has really, really focused the mind now on what's to come and what's to go ahead. So, look, really, really exciting. For some reason, I'm not getting these questions on Facebook. I have no idea why. I'm using a tablet for that one. Let me just see if I can, or maybe is that it there? Oh, I don't know. Sorry, I try my best with the technology. I'm okay with that. Nandan Yadav, he's a banker. He should be in there as well. I think I included him in the 10 that would be there. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to the questions on Facebook. I apologise. Yeah, I don't think they are working for some reason. I have no idea why. I've pressed something. Done something wrong over there. So what we'll do is we'll finish with 5 final questions and then we'll call it a night, because I want to get down to the gym. I'm desperately trying to stay in some shape. Okay, last couple of questions here. Lots of people still watching on YouTube and Instagram. Well, we'll start with that one. Bodraj says, how are you today, Tackly Dot? I'm very good. I had a lovely experience today. It's going to go slightly off topic with the Nepal women's blind team. Getting to meet them was such a privilege, such an honour, and hugely inspirational group of ladies who finishes the runners-up in the World Cup. Can you imagine the Nepal men's team could do something similar? Just one of those moments where I felt really, really lucky to be here in Nepal and to meet those guys. Okay, let's see what other questions we've got. I met some young boys and girls today. We went up to the crowd, did a piece with Jess Crow, and just the love for cricket here and the inspiration this league's providing. Sensational. Okay, let's see what other questions. Last couple. If you're on YouTube, get your question in right now. I'll answer it. Arjun, that's very kind. Narayan says, Rijan Dakal is better than Nandan Yadav. Not really a question, but I'll answer it. Again, I think Rijan Dakal is someone who has a massive opportunity across the last 5 or 6 games he'll play here to say, I've done it already for Nepal and T20 cricket, get me into that World Cup squad. And I do think a left arm seam option is going to be something that Stuart Law will want. Pratish GC is the other one who might be able to force his way into the thoughts. And yeah, just wait and see what happens there. Okay, Raj says, did Dawud Malan try chicken kote momos yet? I did invite him out on Saturday night to come watch the rugby. He wasn't able to make it, so we'll catch up with him this week. I'll make sure he does. Not yet. Anil Yadav says, don't I think Nepal matches should be in Kolkata rather than Mumbai because it's closer to Nepal and Nepalese fans could have reached there as it's near. Look, I think it's a good point. Delhi's obviously even closer than Kolkata. I would have loved to have seen a couple of games, spread out and Nepal not just be in the one venue. But the one thing I would say is there are so many different parameters that the ICC have to take into account, from visas to, travel plans to obviously the politics of India and Pakistan. It's a really movable feast. It's very, very, very complicated. I used to work at the ICC. The majority of these schedules that we created for all of the major World Cups had 15, 20, 25 editions. And, Star Sports, the global broadcast partner, has to have a huge say in it. The host cities, the host venues, the local organising committee has a big say in it. So there's a number of parameters. I wouldn't criticise the schedule in any way. I think they've done it really well. Lots of game days during the group stage with 3 games. How much fun is that? It's kind of like making it an Olympics of cricket for 30 days. It's what it's all about. And I promise you something. I don't think this is that far away from expanded to 24 teams. I know they're already talking about it. Okay, 3 questions to go and we're going to wrap it up. Why can't we produce the best pace bowlers in Nepal whilst our spin attack is top notch? And that's a good question from who's that come from New Technology is your username. I think the pitches have a lot to do with it. The fact that spinners can be dominant here, and the lack of pace and bounce in some of the pitches that the play will take place on. And, for all of the brilliance of the T International Cricket Ground, I adore what they've done there. Playing 32 matches at the same venue in the One Nepal Premier League is a lot of cricket. So, yeah, look, it's just the reality of it. But I know there's partnerships with the BCCI. We've seen Nepal sides head down towards the National Cricket Academy in Bangalore. I've no doubt they're going to spend time in Mumbai. We've seen the A team go down to play games there. They're trying their best. And, the discovery of Hemant Dami. I've always thought a lot of Kishore Mahato as a cricketer as well. Kamal Singh Airi coming back from those injuries. Let's hope he can show how good a cricketer he is. He's another one who could force his way into the contention alongside the likes of Rijan Dakal and Pratish GC. Okay, last 2 questions. Very kind comment from Legend. Thank you. Rupak says, listening lessons from Takli Diets. Very kind. Okay, last chance here. Over on, someone says, get Jimmy Neesham on the quick FaceTime. I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't do that to him. We might have a chat at some point. We'll see. Maybe if he is a good game, we'll get him on the end of day vlog. I've got a good one this evening. Gerard Erasmus was with me for the end of day wrap. That'll be live at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Niranjan says, Lenny, Nepal will beat England. I just saw it in my dreams. Well, it's a lovely way to finish it off. And I think that's going to wrap it up. We're going to call it there. We've done half an hour. Great to see you all. Thanks so much for all the kind messages, the support. Blown away by you all 24/7. Much love. That's all I can say. If you happen to be on YouTube and haven't subscribed yet, do press subscribe because I'm just for a little bit of fun. I just want to get to 100,000 subscribers on that, and we're really close. We're at about 86,000 now or something like that. Hope you're enjoying the Nepal Premier League action. Comes back into play tomorrow. We've got the Bukhara Avengers. Actually, they're in action the day after. Tomorrow it's the Biratnagar Kings. Who are they playing? My brain is... Oh, it's against the Chipman Rhinos. Kushal Mala's back into action. So Lamachani v Mala tomorrow. And for 3 consecutive days, we've seen 3 of the best Nepali players pick up the Player of the Match award. Lamachani, Irie and KC tonight. That was sensational. 31 runs, the highest ever amount in a single Nepal Premier League over. So yeah, really exciting stuff. Loving all the action. Single header tomorrow, and we've got 3 back-to-back double headers. So better get down to the gym, get some exercise in. I'll see you very soon. But it's a big namaste. It's a goodbye from me for now. Goodbye on YouTube. We'll say goodbye there. Goodbye here on what's this one? This one, Instagram. I don't know how to end this one. We might say goodbye on Facebook next. Thanks so much.